Hi, welcome back. If any of you had seen the events that happened in Ferguson, Missouri lately, you probably had a lot of questions. Well, I'm not here to talk about why the events happened or anything like that. What I want to know is how many of you noticed the APC coming down the street with all the soldiers with it. Well, they weren't soldiers. They were the police department. Only a few newspapers and TV stations that I noticed picked this up. How in the world or why in the world are the police dressed up like soldiers? Well, it goes back to 1990-91 when the military had used, supposedly had surplus equipment and other materials laying around, and they wanted to know if the police departments wanted them. Well, of course, for free, sure. Well, over the last years till today, $5.3 billion worth of equipment has been given to police departments, be they local or state. Now, they claim that only 1% of it was arms and 2% of it were vehicles. The rest were cots and uniforms and things like that. Now, I understand the police department wanting SWAT teams. The Hollywood shootout, North Hollywood shootout, they were outgunned. They need better equipment. But do they need to look like the military? Is there other reasons why they want the military to look like that? President Obama has ordered a review of this. Now, I don't know about you, about me, but I don't trust government reviews. We'll go into that in the second part of this video. Right now, I want to go back and bring you up a little bit on history, as I said I was going to. In 1878, the federal government passed the Posse Comitatus Act. Posse Comitatus means protection of the county. Well, that goes back to Old English law. The sheriff was the absolute rule of law. He wasn't even accountable to the king. After King Gilbert especially. Now, in the Old West, you've seen enough westerns and that, you saw the sheriff come into town, I want a posse, guys, to go out and help me find these bad guys. That continues to today. In fact, in some states, they have volunteer posses ready to go. Well, after the Civil War, people got kind of tired of military troops all over the country enforcing state law. And that's what was going on. The federal military, the U.S. Army, especially, were out there enforcing state law. The Congress didn't agree with it either, so they passed the Posse Comitatus Act, which basically states that you cannot use federal troops most of the time to enforce state law. There are some exceptions to that. One being the National Guard. The governor can call in the National Guard from his state, or he can ask for the National Guard for the state next to him. But they can't send a National Guard from Massachusetts to Texas. That's against the law. Also, outside this law is the U.S. Coast Guard. Since they do not follow U.S. law, they follow maritime law. Even though they're armed, they can intervene on the shores of states. There are a few other exemptions. Now, this Posse Comitatus Act was highly regarded, used for years. It started getting weakened a little bit under Reagan because of the drug war, quote unquote. Military was used more often. Now, military can come into states for like an earthquake, a storm, or something like that. They cannot come in armed to fight and preserve the state law. So why are we militarizing the local police departments to look like the military? That's a darn good question. I heard once that if you want to know what somebody truly believes or is truly saying, look at the exact opposite of what they say. You should do that with me. You should question everything I say. That's the way you learn. Back in 2007, then Senator Obama said in one of his speeches that he wanted to have a national police force the size of the Army or the U.S. military or bigger. At the bottom you'll find a link to that speech. Now you move up to today, and he says he wants to get a review of this. Well, I'll tell you what. Look at the exact opposite of what he says, because he already said he wanted a national police force. Is it possible he's trying to get us used to seeing militarized people on the streets? I can remember one time I was in Nassau, and on Goomba Day, or whatever they called it every Wednesday for the tourists, a made-up holiday for the tourists, every street corner, on the corner, all four corners, were armed military, because they didn't want any problems. Well, this is the United States. We don't want armed military on every street corner. We only want to bring the National Guard when it's absolutely necessary. I understand SWAT teams. But over the past few years, 6,000 police departments got equipment. Little police department got APCs, armored personnel carriers. They did get weapons. Now, if you listen to what Obama said about getting a review, and think about the exact opposite. Maybe he's not that upset about it. I don't fear him, because I just think he's a puppet for big money interests. But he's setting a precedent. Now, you can say to yourself, this could never happen. The government would never do anything like this. Well, in the next video, I will tell you exactly when it happened before in history in this country and what I look for to happen in the future. If you have any questions, just leave a comment below. And also, links to what I'm talking about are down there also. Follow them. And if you think that isn't good enough, just Google the main phrases and anything I say and follow that. And you will be surprised at what you find. As I said, this is to stir your interest, to stir your brain to look at things in a different way. So that one time in the future, if anything happens, you will be prepared and you will not be surprised. Until the next time, be well and be prepared.